Hello, hello, hello. My name is Sable, and this is the Full Out Healing Podcast. Welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. This is my first official episode, which is awesome. So, just a little bit about the episode structure. There's each episode will have like a topic, a theme, some sort of like statement that captures some aspect of survivorship. And then I'm going to talk about how I've related to that theme or that topic in the past, how I relate to it today in the present, and like what I'm hoping for in the future. Okay? So that's going to be the structure of the episodes, and so we're going to get started. And so this first episode is called I Didn't Want to Betray the Culture. Okay? So what do I mean when I say that? So there got to be a point where it was shortly after I left, and I felt so incredibly unsafe, and I didn't know. Even my sense of what was safe and unsafe, everything was just upended. But it was like I just felt, even though I didn't know what that sense was, like I do know that I was afraid for my life, right? And when it comes to people in situations with intimate partner violence, like if you're afraid, like what is the solution in society? You go to the police. You engage the criminal justice system, you get some type of legal help, right? And at the time, the idea of getting legal help, despite the immense fear for my life that I had, I just even entertaining that idea, I legitimately felt like a traitor to my people. Because it's no secret that the criminal justice system is quite harmful and quite unjust to Black people, and queer people go wild thinking about what it might do, how Black queer people, Black queer women experience that system. So I just, I genuinely, just the thought of entertaining, like what felt like the only visible forms of help, it just felt like I was like betraying my people. And I remember I felt so afraid for my life. I felt powerless. I felt trapped. And honestly, I felt abandoned by society because I was stuck in this like impossible choice, like take an action that probably won't keep me safe, or to stay loyal to the people and the culture, or do nothing and stay afraid and stay in the powerlessness of that nothingness, right? And I think another thing that made it hard is that one of the narratives that was like running through my mind is like, if I get legal help to figure out my situation, then I'm a part of the system that's keeping Black people down. And another thing that I was contemplating to like trying to think out of my way of needing this type of help was like, well, maybe I'm overreacting. Like, am I really that afraid? Do I really have, or not that, am I really that afraid? I would think through, like, I try to figure out what's like counts as an objective sense of safety, and I try to figure out whatever that objective thing was, and then just match my feelings and my situation to it. And then therefore, like that would, like I was looking for a way to, in some ways, like discount the need to take action, but I was also looking for permission, because everything that seemed like a possible option just felt wrong. And so it's part of like the undercurrent beliefs that were true for me then is, the criminal justice system won't keep me safe. And not even more importantly, because that's not groundbreaking, right? I mean, it is, but it isn't. What the bigger T was this belief I had that I had no way of making myself safe. And I had no way of making myself or keeping myself safe if my wife at the time made a violent choice. There was nothing I could do to keep myself safe. I believe that, and that's part of all of the things, that was all stewing around in what led to all of those feelings, and just being in that stuck kind of place. Now, time has passed since then, and what I will say is, this is how I relate to this idea of I don't want to betray the culture today, right? This is my current tense, my present. Straight up, loyalty to a culture that does not include my safety is not a culture I need to be loyal to on any level. In a culture related to my identity or an institution, if my safety and well-being is not a part of whatever grand plan or your consideration, then I have no reason to be loyal to you, to it, to whatever that entity may be. That's how I feel today. Or those are my thoughts today. I also recognize that I am a part of the culture. And this will get to, I'll speak on this in another episode about my own journey with my identity and my sense of enoughness. But I am the culture, my well-being is not less than this image or this mythology of the culture, right? I'm a part of that. And I feel it's a challenging thing too, because I think for people, socialized as Black women, and I'm sure there are other people who relate to this too, part of our value, it has to do with what we can do for this mythical culture. And not mythical, but it's part of our value in our place in the culture has nothing to do with our well-being within it. And so that translated very neatly to this predicament where I was genuinely afraid for my life and genuinely had full pause at taking any types of actions that could do something for me or that can make me feel differently about my sense of powerlessness. Today, I feel safe because, my life isn't perfect. I'm still very much rebuilding from the repercussions of surviving intimate partner violence. But I feel safe because I feel my power, straight up. I trust myself today in ways that I've never known in my life, and that's what makes me feel safe. And not only that, I trust myself and I trust my ability to keep myself alive. Why? The proof is literally here. I am here. I am alive. I am breathing. No matter the judgments that I've put on any of my thoughts, feelings, actions, or choices, they've all amounted to me being here in this exact moment with breath in my body to be able to speak my truth. And so I feel safe because I trust myself, and I trust myself, and because I have a different relationship to the things that I felt, feelings that I had, the choices that I made in surviving, I just appreciate them as all a part of what has kept me alive. And so I trust myself for that reason. I also feel very clear. I have no sense of loyalty or obligation to any type of situation, person, people, institutions that leave me with impossible or fake choices. Like, fuck that shit, for lack of better language. There's no lack of better language, but that's my energy for it, you know? Like, I am so not about that life. If there's anything about a situation, person, or institution that makes me feel that way, I'm so grateful that I'm now in a place where I know I don't turn that inward. I don't internalize it and think about, oh my God, like, what about me, and what about, like, I have a hard choice to make. It actually, if and whenever I'm presented with those situations, the choice could not be easier. Whatever the situation, person, or institution that has revealed itself to make that hard choice, like, they made the choice easy. It's you, boo, that's got to go. Or have some type of a next level boundary or something, right? Like, that's where I'm at now. Like, I feel very clear about it, and it's not hard because I just feel so unapologetically connected to my worthiness and what I deserve. And that comes from within me. And so if anything brushes up against that, they made that's on you. And I wasn't expecting to be in this place as a result of this journey, and it's definitely been an outcome, and I'll speak more on it in later episodes. But yeah, I feel very clear about the choices that used to be very hard. They're very easy for me now, because, like, I know where I stand in my own life, and everything else is second, and it's just, just like that. The narratives that I carry with me now about, like, that whole energy of that time period and, like, the whole sentiment of, like, not wanting to betray the culture is, I now look back and I see that I did what I needed to do to create a sense of safety, and to build trust with myself again. Like, that was one of the hardest things, like, when I finally left and really started to comprehend the depth of violence that I had survived. Because it's like, I knew on some level, but I just didn't, it just, when you're surviving, like, in literal survival mode, like, brainstem has hijacked the situation. Like, there are actual limitations to, like, what you can fully. I accept that I was just sitting in the fullness of what I survived. And not only was I shocked and horrified, it really, confronting the reality of what I experienced I lost trust in myself. And maybe I had already lost it, and that just kind of put it into clarity. But I was just like, damn, Sable, like, how, when I was able to take a step back and really take stock at what I experienced, I was like, wow, like, how could you this? How could you that? And, I have a different relationship to that self-talk even today too, but the impact was, like, my self-trust evaporated, when I confronted the fullness of what I had survived, which I might add, I was only able to do because I was finally in a safe place. So there's that. But yeah, the narrative, all of which is to say, like, the narrative that I carry now is that, like, I did what I needed to do to create a sense of safety and to build trust with myself again. And that was just critical. I also, something else that I understand today that I didn't before is that my fear mattered. Like, feeling afraid mattered. And sitting with those feelings delivered, like, a message to my consciousness. And sitting in the fullness of that fear, it really supported me with getting to a place where I could take whatever action I needed to take to feel safe again. And that's a pretty big deal because, and I know it can sound wild because I'm hearing it myself now. I'm like, oh, didn't you feel unsafe throughout? But there's, like I was saying, sitting with the fullness of what I survived. Like, part of surviving meant disconnecting from how I was feeling, right? So I was afraid. I had lots of feelings. Fear was one of them, but there were lots of feelings. And there were lots of, that is a whole tangent, a whole separate episode, fear in that context. But what I will say is, once I was able to get into my fear, that's where I found the strength to do what I need to do to be safe. And like, it just comes down to that. And that's why, like, another thing I understand is, like, my emotions are not bad things. They're not inherently good. They're not inherently bad. They are messages from my subconscious trying to get something to break through, trying to get me to be curious about a need that needs to be tended to. And that's all it is. And that's what my fear did for me. And that's how I understand that now. I also, another huge narrative I'm walking away with is that I don't need to risk my personal safety as a move of solidarity, and risking my personal safety is not the solution to fixing a broken system, full stop. And I would argue that responsibility does not fall on the shoulders of people who are in present danger. And so for that reason, I carry no heat, no judgment to any survivor who has to make the complicated decision to engage or to not engage with the criminal justice system. And I know it's broken, it doesn't work, it's not restorative, it's all these other things. And I just fully believe if someone is like a true champion for like fixing that system, you can't take that to someone who's trying to be safe. Like, that just feels, I'm just not about that. That's not appropriate. You know, like, being a survivor and finding the courage to do whatever you need to do to honor how you feel and make sense of the often limited options you have, that is an Olympic feat. Ain't nobody needs to project their mess onto that. You know, I mean, people do, but I'm just telling you how I relate to that today. What do I believe today? Yeah, I still believe the criminal justice system I still believe it doesn't do what it was never designed to do, and that's to keep me safe. You know, like, I still believe that about and understand that about the criminal justice system. I also believe that I have the power to create safety in my life. And it might not be easy, it might not be simple, but this is power that I do have. I guess for the future, I am hoping that if you're a survivor and you're listening or you're watching, for the future, I hope that you know, believe, and understand, like on a fucking cellular level, from your baby toe, all the way to the top of your head, that there is no intangible thing in the world that exists that is more important than your well-being or safety. Like, what's the point? Those intangible things are meant to serve you, us, as human beings, not the other way around. And I would argue when it's the other way around, it enables a very specific set of people to run amok with inappropriate behavior. But I digress. I just hope that you know, believe, and understand. And no matter how deeply ingrained it is, or what that thing, if it's culture, identity, some community, like, there's nothing that is more important than your well-being. And if there's anything, like, I just think you deserve to be a part of the freedom you're fighting for. You deserve to be protected. And how is it that just if that thing, that whatever thing that we're fighting for, whatever the movement is, whatever the culture is, how is that justice if your well-being doesn't get included in that? That's not justice, that's a sacrifice. And that's not even a right word for it. It's just more injustice. That's what it is. Okay? My desires for the future, my desire is for me to accept what I just told you, that, like, you get to be a part of that freedom that you're fighting for. My desire is for me to accept that as truth in about any space or community that I ever want to be a part of. Like, I want to roll in from the jump with that understanding. And because that understanding that understanding is going to keep me safe and connected to my power and my ability to keep myself safe, which, it is such a really big deal to, like, come home to yourself in that way and to trust in that. And I really can't understate it. And I guess maybe anyone else who's experienced violence that they didn't consent to gets that idea of your ability to keep yourself safe. I don't know. Let me know what you think. But yeah, thank you for listening or watching. That was the first episode of the Full Out Healing podcast, titled I Didn't Want to Betray the Culture. This is also day 4 of 100 Days of Truth. And so thanks for watching and listening. Stay tuned, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Bye.